Good evening. I'd like to call the September 2nd, 2025 regular meeting of the Newton County Board of Commissioners to order. I'll ask Commissioner Henderson if you would have our invocation, followed by Commissioner Cooper, if you'd have our Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Amen. We everyone bow their heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come and asking you to guide us and just lead us into a productive county commissioner meeting. This we pray in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Madam Chair. We're moving into item number 9, the adoption of the agenda. We need to have a motion and a second for that.
Okay, could I have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we're at number 5 for public comments. This time is to allow the public to comment, voice concerns or opinions regarding agenda topics only for this particular section of the agenda. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. Please speak clearly and directly into the microphone. And before you begin, please give your name and address, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. James Peterson, 70 Crooked Creek Way, Covington, Georgia, 30016. I would like to address item number 13, the funding of a tax commissioner, director of operations, full-time position. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first line of the job description on the tax commissioner states the following: the essential function of the position within the organization, operations of the county commissioners is the responsibility of supervising the tax and motor vehicle office and personnel. So why are we having to hire someone to do the job that our elected official is supposed to already be doing? Thank you.
This portion of the agenda has now closed. We're going to move into item number 6, which is reports from the chairman. I do not believe you have anything this evening, Madam Chair.
I don't. Thank you.
The next item we have is reports from the interim county manager. Mr. Brown?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I do not have anything to report at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 8, there is no unfinished business at this particular meeting. So number 9 would be the approval of the consent agenda, which is 9A, the minutes for our meeting on August 19th.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
We are on new business, item number 10. It's going to be presented by our own safety and risk manager, Ms. Pamela Maxwell. Item number 10 indicates a discussion and approval of the 2025-26 property and casualty insurance policy renewal. Our broker is McGriff Insurance Services, and the TPA is Gallagher-Bassett Services. It is time sensitive and it is budgeted. Ms. Maxwell, you can explain further.
Good evening. The request we have before you is our 2025-2026 property and casualty insurance program renewal. I have with me our devoted broker, Dean Hayes. We've provided the board with a summary sheet that explained all the coverage lines, the expiring and proposed premiums, the limits, the deductibles, and a little more. The insurance policies that we have included are our property insurance, equipment, auto, general liability, employment practices, public officials, crime, terrorism, and cyber. The total amount for all programs is $1,595,821. The premium amounts were based on carrier rates, exposure, and lost experience. This amount does fall within our budgetary projections. So that's all I have for you all. I'm here for any questions.
Okay, is there a motion? You have,
Well, I had a question, but I'll make a motion.
okay, if you have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
And-
Commissioner
and-
Henderson.
And please, if you could, I thought at one point that we had hired Gary Massey to kind of help the commission to navigate through all the insurance business that the county had, and I just kind of figure out what happened to that.
It's my understanding that the board did request a contract to hire Gary Massey last year to come in and oversee and review the insurance program that we had, the property and casualty, but that was a one-time situation. He did come back and reported to the board what his findings were, which is that we've done everything that we can to get the best insurance program for the county. So if there was a contract for more than that, I wasn't involved in that.
And so this isn't. Well, I guess the question is this time sensitive?
It is. It does have to. We have a renewal that is due at the end of this month.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion? Commissioner Long?
Hey there, thank you. How much of an increase was this? I know insurance is going up. I know I've dealt with it myself. So what is our percentage that we have gone up?
Only about 2%.
Huh?
Only about 2%.
Okay.
It's the best
All right.
renewal I've had all year.
Are you the current carrier?
I'm the broker, yes.
I mean, the current carrier of who we have right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I am
the
the
broker.
incumbent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
broker.
incumbent broker, correct.
Okay, all right. And what was in the budget for this amount?
It was the 1.5 900.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like one.
I know this falls within, I was just
something.
wondering what we had in
It's
the budget.
within
I can look it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. I know this falls below it. Thank you.
I'm sure. it's-
Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, thank you, Pam, Mr. Hayes. So, I actually you guys may know I'm in the insurance business, and 2% increase this year is unheard of, absolutely unheard of. So, I thought Mr. Hayes and I were talking before, and I thought we kind of got off light this year. So, despite some of our losses. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Henderson?
I'm a comment for the vote. Well, for some of us, such as myself, I'm not in the insurance business. I know about life insurance policy for myself and for my family, and I know about my personal insurance policy. And so I just thought that it was good that we could have somebody that we knew, maybe the board who knew, like Mr. Gary Maxwell, was 2% or 1%, whatever it was, to just say, well, this is the best thing for the money that we're spending. And it just seemed like it's the same amount of money that we budgeted. Just like I went in the budget, so, whoop, here's $1.2 million, $1.1 million, or something close to it. And I just like somebody who know it better than I know, and somebody that I trust. Thank you, Madam Chair.
So we have any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. we
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Madam Chair, we're going to move into 11, 12, and 13. If we are able to, before the 7:30 hour, we're going to call Ms. Brittany White, our Finance Director. She's going to, in number 11, require discussion and approval to enter into the Purdue Direct National Opioid Settlement, and it is time sensitive. Number 12 will require discussion and approval of the electric service agreement between SNAP and Shoals Electric and Newton County Senior Enrichment Center. It is also time sensitive. And number 13 is the discussion and approval of a budget transfer and or amendment request contingency for new positions for fleet, part-time maintenance worker part-time, and our tax commissioner, director of operations. Ms. Brittany.
Good evening. The first item that I have before you tonight is approval to enter into the Purdue National Opioid Settlement. So we had one a few meetings ago where we entered into the Sandoz. This is the Purdue. There is one more that will be coming down the pipeline. I believe that one should be somewhere in October. I just haven't got the agreement for that one. So this one is time sensitive. We do need to opt into this by the end of the month, which is September 30th. Any questions?
Commissioner Long?
So we've had several of these settlements, and I know these. What are we doing? Can we get a report? I'm not going to ask you tonight for it, but I'd like to have a report of where these funds are going and what we're doing with these funds that are coming in for this settlements. I want to make sure that, and there might be some language in here I didn't see, and I don't see a dollar amount in here either, but. I would like to see what we're doing with these and make sure that we're putting these to good use for the people that it really is deriving from. So I'm not sure if you could get us for our next meeting kind of a breakout, if that's okay, of where these funds are, where we're putting them, and what are we using them with. I don't want to see them get gobbled up in some other project when they really should go out to a lot of the services that we have in here in the county that can help people.
I will tell you, when we first enter into these agreements, we don't have a dollar amount because I think it depends on how many entities actually enter into. We are currently in settlement agreements with 4 or 5 different settlements. The money flows in annually. So right now we have around $500,000 in the bank. And then we have formed an opioid committee that we're meeting with now. So we plan to present to the board in the next couple months.
Good.
Different plans from that committee.
Good. Thank you.
It's okay. Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I hear the part about the committee and the forums. So, and James and I were having a side conversation a few minutes ago. I would just caution, and I know you guys will be, this is one-time money. It's not the money that keeps on giving. So we can't establish something that requires funds year over. So I just want to remind everybody. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, the next item that I have for you tonight is the electrical service agreement between Snapping Shoals and Newton County to establish permanent power at the new Senior Enrichment Center. Are there any questions about this?
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. That motion passes.
Thank you. And the final item tonight is a budget transfer out of our contingency for new position funding. So in this year's budget, we did have $1,750,000 budgeted for new positions. So the first 2 requested positions that are coming to you tonight are going to be a part-time fleet maintenance worker. That start date is anticipated to be 9/8/2025. So the total salary and benefits for that position would be $16,000, and then also a director of operations for the tax commissioner, which would be a full-time position, selected to start on 9/8/2025 as well. Total salary and benefits for the remainder of this year. So this is budgeted around 83% for 10 months would be $105,375.
Do we have a motion? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, just so the public is clear, Brittany, these were anticipated positions well before the budget was established, correct? That's why we put back money for these positions,
Yes,
correct?
so during the budget process, all departments, they submit any new position requests.
Right. So this is not like it's unbudgeted. We had planned for this.
Yes, so we don't actually move the money into the line items for those positions until they're ready to be hired.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know there was a question in regards to earlier from one of our residents in regards to the Director of Operations. When you look at tasks, is the Director of Operations doing the exact same thing as the Tax Commissioner, or have we outlined, or you may or may not know, have we outlined, is this kind of like a Deputy Tax Commissioner, or is it like, what do we know specifically what they're doing, and is it the same as the role of the Tax Commissioner? Just for clarification for our residents. Okay.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, that role will be serving as the Deputy Tax Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Henderson?
Is that is this the way the job posted? The Deputy Tax Commissioner?
I think he was posted as Director of Operations, but it was served as Deputy Tax Commissioner as a job responsibility.
Commissioner Long?
I've spent a lot of time with the tax commissioner here recently trying to come up with some ideas of how to save money and how to help with seniors. We had a little meeting last week, and he talked to me about this position. If you'll get the paper, you'll see there are 4 pages of tax sales that we're about to have. And that, or we had them today, I think they were today. And there are more tax sales coming. So the role that they are going to be helping with is making sure that we are collecting all the taxes, make sure the office is being run. There's other things that the tax commissioner does besides just sit in the office and make sure that everybody's at their station and not on the telephone and stuff like that. So I think these tax sales are a lot. We have a lot of them. I think the good thing is I saw a lot of them scratched out, so it looks like people came forward to pay their taxes. We have some from 2018 and forward. So and from what I understand, we're going to have another tax sale this year also. Don't quote me, but that's the information I received, that we would have another one in November. So I think that they are just, as we grow as a county, that job has become overloaded, and they're trying to make sure that they stay on top of collecting the taxes, and that's their job, to collect the taxes. So that's my information, and plus we are working on some other things for seniors.
Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and this will be brief. It's just the reason why we have so many tax sales, because people cannot afford their taxes. They can't pay them. That's the reason why we have so, and it's going to be so many. And I never forget that elderly lady, and she was about my age, and she stood right up there and she said, "I'm going to lose my house." And it was heartfelt to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong business. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to put on record as well and, remind the residents that this board did opt in to HB 581 so that we can do our best to assist our residents. So I don't want that to be negated. And I don't want it to put it out there as if this board is not doing what they can do to try to help our seniors, to try to help those that are non-seniors. This board is doing everything that they can to try to help our residents as much as we possibly can. Over 60+% on the referendum last year of our residents stated that they wanted to encourage this board to opt in to House Bill 581. And that is exactly what this board did. So I don't want it to be put out that this board that they don't care about our seniors, that they don't care about our residents. As Commissioner Long stated, behind the scenes, this board is working diligently to see what we can do to help our seniors. And so you may not see it, you may not hear it, but just because you don't see it and don't hear it doesn't mean that this board isn't working behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, I mentioned previously, I'm the chair of the Revenue and Finance Committee for the Association of County Commissioners of Georgia. We are now pushing for property tax reform. That is a part of our platform. That is what we're going to be encouraging our state legislators come 2026. We're asking them to do those things. We're also looking at some other methods that we have not taken advantage of for this board to see what we can do. Maybe looking at even a FLOS, floating local option sales tax, where that's going to help our seniors. It's going to help our residents. So I don't want the narrative to be put out there that this board isn't doing what they can do to try to help. Just know that we are working diligently to help our residents in the area of property taxes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Long?
When we met last week with the tax assessor and the tax commissioner, the county manager, myself, and it was an impromptu meeting that I scheduled because I wanted to understand all of the exemptions that we have here in Newton County and chart them against other counties. We actually have one of the better exemptions than the local counties. The problem is it's very complicated to figure out how to calculate it. So we went over that over and over again, how to calculate it properly. And they do welcome, I think there's a lot of seniors that look at what it says, and I was probably one of these dumb people that said over 15 or 20,000. That's not what it is. You can make over that amount. It's up to 96,000 and over, but I don't want to quote it. So they're trying to get their website updated. They're trying to get more information out. 2 seniors going to put something in the mailings. So to make sure that everybody is taking advantage of it if you are over the age of 62, 65, and then over that 70 range. So it was very enlightening to see that compared to the other counties around us, ours was actually higher than other counties. And I know people are sitting there thinking, how could it be? It is. I just think it's complicated and people can't figure it out. So I think that's something that we are working on to make sure that we are making it simplified.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we're on item number 14 being presented by Mr. James Brown. Newton County Water Resources Cornish Creek is requesting approval of Pattons Partnership Program PM Service Agreement for compression services. It is time sensitive. The cost is $16,133.25. And Mr. Brown, you can go for it now.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is an agreement with the Pattons Services for routine maintenance and on the equipment that we have for compressors for the Cornish Creek Water Treatment Plant.
Do we have a motion? Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have about an 8-minute time frame before 7:30 if you wanted to take a 7-minute break.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we'll adjourn or take a 7-minute break and we'll return back at 7:30 promptly to begin our public hearing to begin at 7:30. Thank you.
Call the meeting back to order.
Madam Chair, the time is 7:30. We're going to now begin our public hearings. And we're going to ask Ms. Shana Applewade if she would come forward for our first initial zoning hearing. Keep in mind that the first response will be for those who are in agreement, and then the second will be a second portion for those who are against. Ms. Shana?
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. Our first petition this evening is a rezoning case. It is REZ 25-000003. There is a companion case, which is a variance that was heard before the Board of Zoning Appeals last Thursday. It's VAR 25-000003, and we'll get into that a little later. This project is located at 10406 Highway 278 East. Tax ID number is 00828-047. And it's on 0.98 acres. Future land use is commercial. The existing zoning is R2, single family residential. The proposed zoning for tonight is general commercial. It is located in the character area, live-work corridor, and appropriate land uses are commercial, and an appropriate zoning is general commercial. The watershed is Alcovey River. It's located in Commission District 5. The owner is Suttles Veterinary Properties LLC, and our rep tonight is Mr. John Nix. So on 8/20, the Board of Zoning Appeals, they approved the variance to reduce the southern setback to 40 feet and the northern setback to 140 feet. And those were the conditions that they stipulated. I just want to bring the final condition to the board's attention, where it says that should the Board of Commissioners deny this rezoning tonight, then this approved variance becomes void. So basically, they approve them to have those reduced setbacks. When tonight, the applicant's intent is to rezone the property from R2 to general commercial to expand the existing vet clinic. And again, the site, it is currently the existing clinic or animal hospital on Highway 278. It's been there at least 45 years. And there are other commercial uses east and west of the site, and there's undeveloped land to the south. The applicable section would be section 510060 for animal hospital or veterinary clinic. This is included in your packet, so I won't read through all of these. So the site plan analysis, this is the current, this is the proposed site plan they're looking at, but it is the current location. So it's going to be a 4,138 square foot building. They're proposing about 30 parking spaces to the north and the west side of the property. There's a proposed detention facility or detention or stormwater pond to the east. There's currently a shared driveway, which is down the middle here. And then there's an access point on Highway 278, and there's one on McGriff Bridge Road down here. We do have residential zonings across 278 to the north, and as well to the south over McGriff's Bridge Road, which is why they needed the variance to reduce these two buffers here from 500 feet all the way down to 240 and then 40 feet off of McGriff's Road. So the proposed site plan meets or exceeds the requirements of the 2020 Newton County UDO, and of course signage must comply with the UDO. So again, this is what they're proposing. They've expanded the building to this new light yellow footprint. So in conclusion, staff is of the opinion that the proposed rezoning to general commercial may be appropriate based on the similar zonings and uses in the nearby area. The proposed use is an improvement to the current veterinary clinic, and the commercial zoning will make the property code compliant. The rezoning will be consistent with the policies and intent of the comp plan. And additionally, the flume category is commercial, which supports the general commercial zoning district that they are currently requesting. Recommended conditions. So should this petition be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved general commercial, conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. Where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, these conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. 1, to the owner's agreement to abide by the following. A, the applicant, they must obtain a variance, which they did. The board approved that on the 28th, and which would be to seek relief according to section 510-060A. B, maintain compliance with section 510-060B, C, and D of the ordinance. C, prior to any land disturbance, demolition, construction, addition of, or removal of walls, the applicant must apply for all required permits. D, prior to the issuance of permits or licenses, all plans must be approved by Development Services, Fire Services, Public Works, and all applicable external agencies, such as GDOT, GSWCC, and the Water Authority. E, limit number of total occupants to the occupant load set by the Newton County Fire Services. F, provided sprinkler inspection to the Newton County Fire Services and Development Services, and this inspection must be approved prior to the release of a business license. G, obtain and maintain said business license. H, complete an annual fire inspection from the Newton County Fire Services. So this is the current area of the existing clinic. So it has a much smaller footprint that they're looking to expand. We have our current existing access point on 278, which is a shared drive with the property to the west. There's also access on McGriff's Bridge Road at the bottom here as well. And there's the variance was for them to reduce, this is residential here and over in the city, so it was to reduce the buffer on this boundary here by up to 240 feet. And then across 278, it was to reduce it by 140 feet because the ordinance stipulates that a veterinary clinic must be at least 500 feet away from residential zoning. So that variance was approved by the board. We have our current zonings. Everything in yellow is residential, including the current property, and they're moving to commercial. This is the flume. The entire flume is commercial for that entire strip of properties here. It's an Alcovy River watershed, Commissioner District 5, Live Work Corridor character area. And this is their survey and site plan. This is what it looks currently. The existing building and a temporary storage building which will be removed. These are current ground view pictures of the building. It's a little red building here. And of course, this is the concept plan that they are proposing, and we have a close-up of it. And these are the renderings of the elevations of what the new building is going to look like. So they're proposing to move from the red building that they have now to this. So you've got the front elevations, rear, and of course the two sides. And if there are any questions for staff, if not, Madam Chair, this is a public hearing.
We will now open the floor for the public hearing. All those in favor of the request are invited to come to address the board. There will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. If there is anyone that would like to come forward, please give your name and address for the record, please. And this is for those in favor.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. John Nix, 945 Bank Street, Conyers, Georgia. As you could tell from the report from the director, this is a non-conforming use that actually has been in place since 1960 when the building was constructed. There's been a vet practice there for over 45 years, probably pushing 60. The current physician or vet that lives there, he probably does live there, Michael Kruger, he sold the practice to my client, Patricia Suttles, about a year ago. He continues in the practice. They decided when they bought the practice they wanted to expand it. That's why we're here today, because as an existing non-conforming use that's legal, they could have continued to operate out of the structure you saw in the photograph.
When we started this process, we mailed letters out to adjoining property owners and anybody that we thought was within 500 feet. And we probably mailed out 13 or 14 letters and we got no responses. We got unanimous approval by the Planning Commission with no one speaking in opposition. And the big lift was getting the variance last Thursday for the distance requirements. The best thing I can say about this project is an operation very, very similar to this one has been on the property for over 45 years. They're going to continue that practice, hopefully, with a new building, which is their desire, a building that's designed to meet the needs of a veterinary practice today, as opposed to what was built 60 years ago. So it's going to improve their ability to deliver services to the community. So I asked present me any questions that you might have about this application, but I'll reserve the rest of my time.
Thank you. Commissioner Long.
Thank you. I'm just curious, and I can't remember, and I'm looking on maps here, so if you saw me on my phone, I'm looking on the maps, to see if, I don't remember there being an actual real exit in the back. I think it's like a gravel thing that people have probably driven through off the back on McGriff's Bridge. Is it an actual driveway all the way through right now? I don't think it is.
I think it is, but it might be in the condition you're talking about. They actually own about 90 feet of that shared driveway, and the other 10 feet is owned by the folks that are occupying the Georgia Farm Bureau.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with the location and everything. I just could not remember if there was an exit on the back there. That's probably my only concern is exiting out a commercial business onto McGriff's Bridge. I've spoken with several of the homeowners, and there's a church building behind them. They don't have any opposition with it, but they are concerned that if people go out the back, there's a lot of traffic on McGriff's Bridge that can go either way. Now the traffic funnels to 278 correctly, and everybody has to turn right. And if you make them go out the back, then they can turn left or right on 278. So that's really the only thing and I know the volume with a lot bigger building will be a lot more volume than currently is at the clinic now. So that would be my concern. I'm not sure that the driveway is completely going out the back, like a real driveway. That's the only thing I'm asking, because that would be my only concern from the citizens.
Well, I'm sure my client would defer to staff and to Newton DOT as far as having that rear exit. As a history major, it seems to make sense to me to have two exits from the property, but I understand what your concern is about the road that's less traveled as far as being 2-lane as opposed to coming out on 278.
At this time, are there any more questions from the board? Okay, we have 8 minutes left. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and speak in favor? That portion of the hearing is now closed. We're going to now hear from those who are opposed to this request. If you are opposed to this request, please come forward and address the board. We ask that you provide your name and address. That will be provided also an additional 10 minutes. Is there anyone opposed?
Okay, do we have a motion? Commissioner Long.
So just to answer my question about the rear exit, would this building require the reason why is McGriff's Bridge is like a 1-lane road. It's not very wide back there. Mm-hmm. It's an older street that's really nobody uses other than the people that are on it. So I'm concerned about running traffic out the back and then how it will come out on 278, because right now it's correct because everybody has to turn to the right, and then if they want to go down and come back up 278. McGriff's Bridge has a cutoff at one end of it, and then the other one is an intersection that comes out like to 278 and cuts across. So I'm just saying if everybody's running out the back end to go to that intersection, the 4-way intersection or 3-way intersection, then that may become something that we're going to have to put a red light at or something like that. I don't know how many, 4,000 square foot building. Both of these veterinaries have good businesses and very good in the community. So I just don't know. I don't want to hurt them by not having the exit in the back, but I am concerned about having the exit out on McGriff's Bridge.
So both the transportation department as well as the fire department will be reviewing the plans when they come in, and they'll be able to make that determination. I think one option could be to make it an emergency entrance only if it's not to be used daily, or they can require some sort of improvements, to the McGriff Bridge Road at the back there to accommodate any anticipated traffic from the upgrades in the veterinary clinic.
With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the conditions, and then also a condition in there to analyze what the back entrance would do to McGriff's Bridge and the intersection there at 278, because there is a median down the middle of 278. So I'd like to add that to my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion? Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. That motion passes. Sapplewhite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next petition this evening is a future land use map amendment, FLU 25-00005. It's located at 140 Snapping Shoals Road, tax ID 0019015, and it's on 1.32 acres. The existing land use map is residential. The proposed future land use map is industrial. The existing zoning is agricultural, residential, and the proposed zoning would be heavy industrial M2. The watershed is the South River. Character area is emerging suburban and conservation and recreation area. And the appropriate land use is industrial and conservation for those respective character areas. This is located in Commission District 1. The petitioner is ARK Asset Group LLC. Representative is John Nix. So today we're just looking at the future land use map amendment, not a rezoning. Just a brief history. So on 6/5 of 2025, a land disturbance permit was issued for a dump and delivery business located across the road at 145 Snapping Shoals Road. And on 8/26, the Planning Commission, they recommended denial of this flume amendment due to concerns of possible industrial uses that could go there. So the dump and delivery business, the whole point of attempting to rezone this parcel opposite at 140 Snapping Shoals Road is because the applicant also intends to add a waste transfer station. And in order for a waste transfer station to be located there, it cannot be opposite any residential zoning, which is why they're attempting to rezone the property, opposite it. And the concerns the Planning Commission had, their concern was like possible industrial uses that could go there should the board approve the rezoning. And while we don't add conditions or recommend conditions on a future land use map amendment, the board could do so if the rezoning comes before them. And staff will provide a list of possible prohibited uses at that time for the board to consider from industrial zonings. And that should address the concerns that the Planning Commission has. The applicant's intent is to amend the flume from residential to industrial in order to rezone to M2. And the intent, as I said earlier, is to establish a transfer station, which will be opposite the road at 145 Snapping Shoals Road, which cannot currently be located there due to the residential zoning. In conclusion, the applicant's intent, again, is to establish a solid waste center at 145. And the section that actually addresses this is section 590B, which states that the use cannot be located adjacent to or across the street from any property that is used or zoned residential. The future land use category in the zoning district of the subject property at 140 Snapping Shoals Road will have to be changed. So the proposed flume that they're looking at this evening is to amend it to industrial, which would be appropriate with the policies and intent of the comp plan as well as for contiguity. There are no conditions of zoning placed on the future land use map amendments, since this is only a planning tool for future requests. But should the request be approved and a petition filed for rezoning, then conditions of zoning would be applicable to the rezoning request. So this is the parcel we're looking at here. This is 140 Snapping Shoals, this little round parcel here. Across the road here is where they have the dump and delivery currently and where they're looking to put the waste transfer station. But because this is all residential here, this is what they're attempting to rezone. Current zoning in the area, everything here in gray is already zoned industrial. So it's everything to the south of Snapping Shoals Road. Everything up here, this is highway commercial in the bright orange, and the green here is agricultural residential. So this is the only parcel left on this road that is still residential. Every use on this road here is non-residential. I think there's like a Dollar General here, a church. There mini warehouse storages going in here. You have the dump and delivery. And this is, I think it's a hydro generator repair. It's an industrial business down here that's been there forever. This is the map we're seeking to amend this evening. Everything in purple is industrial flume, and they're looking to go to that industrial flume. We have a commercial flume up here. This is public utilities, where the church is located in the blue. And of course, the yellow is the residential here that they're looking to rezone, to amend. We're in the South River watershed, Commissioner District 1. These are the character areas. They've got a little bit of the emerging suburb as well as the conservation recreation area. This is the most recent survey that they have. You see the parcel is here in the star. This is just a street view of the property currently undeveloped. This is what they're proposing for the waste transfer station and dump and delivery, which is across the road. So the parcel that they're looking at today is over here, but this is the business they're trying to locate there, which is the reason for them to amend the flume this evening. And if there are any questions for staff, if not, Madam Chair, this is a public hearing as well.
Okay.
We will now open the floor for the public hearing. All those in favor of the request are now invited to come to address the board. There will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. Please speak clearly into the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening a second time. John Nix, 945 Bank Street, Conyers, Georgia. I asked the director to leave the flume up just because I think it's helpful to understand what we're trying to do. If you look to the property, which I'll call to the south of the star, and the first parcel before you today is the starred area, and that parcel that looks like the donut hole of the donut, which is the parcel with the same color that surrounds it. And what is keeping us from having a transfer station on the property to the south is the light colored property that's residential as they are. The property to the south that's owned by ARC Assets is zoned M2. It allows for the use that they're engaged in now. The use they're engaged in now is haul off dumpster. I call them dumpsters, but I'm not supposed to call them that. Haul off construction boxes. That's not the right term either, but you know what I'm talking about. The large dumpsters that go to a commercial area, they leave them, they fill them up. This company provides those for construction and demolition. What they'd like to do to add to that business on that site is build an 80 by 80 building where they would have a transfer station. The transfer station would be limited to demolition and construction. It wouldn't do household garbage. It wouldn't do household waste. It wouldn't do hazardous waste. So you could clean out your garage and use it, but you couldn't take your paint cans and you couldn't take batteries. So they want to limit it to what they're basically doing now. The owners of this company started in the construction business and branched out when they found out there was a demand for what they're doing now, and they simply want to use this site that's properly zoned for it for that purpose. The property that is across the street with the star was bought by my client the same time they bought the property where they're establishing their business right now. If you look at the property that surrounds the star, That actually is owned by my other client, Hoke Thomas, who actually also owns, if you go south toward the river, that large purple area. So the purple area and the light-colored area is really one tract of 10 acres, but is very unusually zoned 2 different uses and has a flume use of 2 different uses. We talked to the director after the planning commission, after the planning commission meeting where we got a 4-0 vote for denial. But the statement was made at that hearing that if we had asked for commercial, they would have granted it to us, or at least the gentleman that opposed us and led the way on opposing us for industrial, that if we'd asked for commercial, they would have given it to us because they see how the use that my client's asking for fits into this area that's bound by the South River and 2 highways. We have talked to the director after that meeting, and we've already offered over 20 uses that would be allowed in M2, that when we came before you, if we got the flume with our zoning request, we would ask you to condition our property where we would not be able to make those uses. So it would restrict what's possible there. I understand the director wanting to tie the property of Mr. Hoke Thomas together under one flume. I get that as a planner, but I'll break for just a minute from her and say that if the only way you will consider the flume amendment is to give us commercial on that property and keep it split, then it would be industrial commercial rather than industrial residential. I need to die on that sword in front of the director and say I'd like that, because my goal obviously is to enable my client to be able to run the business he wants to run on property that already allows it. It's zoned M2, but for this one condition of the adjacent or across the street from residential, it would work. And the last thing I'd say, and reserve the rest of my time, is that if you look at the area that's compressed by the 2 state highways and the South River, it's pretty clear looking at the flume that the flume is kind of out of sync with the remainder of what it's designating for this area to have it still called residential. I mean, it just doesn't fit in this area anymore, given what's taken place over the years since the flume was amended. So I would urge you that it makes a lot of sense to make this change, if not to industrial, to commercial. And I'll reserve the rest of my time and respond to any questions you might have.
If there are no questions, if anyone else would like to speak in favor, there was 4 minutes and 58 seconds, I believe.
Madam Chair, good evening. Commissioners, good evening. Brett Dunn, 5191 Newton Drive, Northeast, Covington, Georgia, 30014. I think we have a good opportunity to have Newton County folks doing business here in Newton County, hiring Newton County people. Can't think of a better way to adjust that map. I think it's a good thing. I think it's good business. And I think it would be a great thing for us to support. And I support it 100%, and I hope you will too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in favor? Okay, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. We'll now hear from those opposed to the request. All those opposed to the request are also invited to come address the board. There will be an additional total time of 10 minutes for those speaking in opposition. And if there is, please come to the mic, address the board, speak clearly, state your name and address for the record. Again, those opposed. Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt flume change FLU 25-000005 with staff recommended conditions.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Okay, Commissioner Cooper. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next petition this evening is also future land use map amendment. This is the property that is immediately adjacent to the one we just did because they're separate owners. They were done separately. But this is FLU 25-000006, located at 115 Snapping Shoals Road. Tax ID is 0019010. Total acres 10.19. The existing land use map is residential, PRC, which is Parks, Rec, and Conservation, and Industrial Zoning, FLUME. And the proposed future land use is going to be all industrial. The existing zoning is agricultural residential and M2 heavy industrial. So this parcel has two zonings currently. The proposed zoning would be M2, which would make it contiguous and one zoning. So the watershed is South River, character areas, emerging suburban and conservation recreation area, and appropriate land uses, which is what we're here for today. It would be the FLUME as well as conservation. It would be industrial as well as conservation. This is located in Commissioner District 1. Owner is Hoke and Mike Thomas, and petitioner is being represented by Mr. John Nix. On 6/5, a land disturbance permit, again, was issued for the property adjacent, opposite, at 145 Snapping Shoals Road. And they're amending the FLUME on this current property to allow, a waste transfer station. This petition is similar to the one that I just proposed. I won't read through every single thing unless there are any questions for staff. But the intent is the same, eventually to amend the FLUME to industrial and then eventually to rezone to industrial in order to accommodate the waste transfer station and the dump and delivery business, which will be located opposite it. So in conclusion, the site is dual zoned, agricultural, residential, and heavy industrial. And the FLUME is residential and industrial. So approximately 50% of the parcel has an industrial FLUME. So in order to make the property's FLUME and the zoning district consistent, the future land use will have to be amended, and then the property has to be rezoned. And then, of course, the solid waste transfer station, which is proposed to be developed across the road from this at 145 Snapping Shoals Road. But because Section 510.590B states that the use cannot be located adjacent to or across the street from a property that is zoned residential or has a residential use, this would give support for the FLUME petition. So furthermore, the proposed FLUME amendment to industrial for the parcel is appropriate with the policies and intent of the comp plan. So since this is a FLUME amendment, there are no conditions of zoning placed on the future land use map amendment, since it's a planning tool. But should the request be approved and a petition filed for rezoning, then the conditions of zoning would be applied to the rezoning request. So this is the aerial view. So now we're looking at the parcel to the rear, which is one big parcel. Here it has two zonings, what we call a dual zone parcel. And this is something that we try to correct according to today's zoning ordinance. So it's zoned agricultural, residential, and heavy industrial. This is the FLUME, which is the same thing. It has a residential FLUME to the north and an industrial FLUME to the south, but it is one parcel. It also has a little bit of parks and rec in the green, which will remain. We won't change that. We're just seeking to amend the residential FLUME up here. The watershed is the South River, Commissioner District 1. The character area, emerging suburban and conservation recreation. This is our survey. Now it shows like the rear parcel. This is just a street view of what's currently out there. It's largely undeveloped. This is the hydro generator repair business at the south. And of course, this is the concept plan for the dump and delivery and the waste transfer station, and the parcels we're looking at are over here today. If there are any questions for staff, if not, Madam Chair, this is a public hearing as well.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing. All those in favor of this request are invited to come to address the board. There will be a total, Mr. Nix, of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. Please speak clearly into the mic.
John Nix, 945 Bank Street. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Kitchens for retrieving me from walking out. I want to apologize to Mr. Thomas for walking out, but it is my wife's birthday, and I was under strict instructions to come home as fast as I could, and I guess I was overwhelmed by that urge. I have nothing to say about this application that I didn't say already. It's the same argument, the same presentation, and I'll stand for questions.
Okay.
All right. No questions from the board. At this time, we have 9 minutes and 30 seconds. If there's anyone that would like to come forward in favor. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward in favor? Okay, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. We will now open the floor for those who are opposed to this request. You have the same 10 minutes. Please speak clearly into the microphone. State your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name's Jeff Bishop, 10144 Twin Oaks Drive, Covington, Georgia. I don't know if I'm for it or against it. I don't know too much about this, but it kind of strikes me as odd that the Planning Commission on this project and the one before voted by a 4-0 vote to deny it. And nothing's even been said about that. I don't know why they voted against it. I was not at the meeting, but I would think that there should be some kind of substantial reasons about this for why they voted against it. And generally, I say that we are overbuilding our county, I think. I think we've been doing that for a long time. And we've just gotten the South River kind of cleaned up in the last 20 years or so. And I'd hate to see it get impacted by industrial waste again. So I'd like to know why it is that the reasons that the Planning Commission gave to deny this are not being brought out now. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 8 minutes and 54 seconds. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward and speak against?
Okay.
At this time, we'll move forward with the public hearing. You do.
I can answer the gentleman's question about the Planning Commission. One gentleman stated, and he's the one that led the vote on it, was he didn't see allowing this to be industrial. He understood what we were trying to do, and there were no other comments from the remaining members of the Planning Commission at all, and there was no one in opposition. And because he had a pretty strong feeling about it, it won 4-0 as far as turning it down. After the vote, he looked me right in the eye and said that if you are asking for commercial, I would have granted it because I understand what your client's trying to do. So it wasn't like there was any issue about whether or not it was appropriate. There's been an M2 use on the river since like 1923. And I don't think there's been any issues regarding pollution, or certainly hasn't been anything reported. The site we're talking about is over 5 acres. Everything's up to the front. It's a great distance away from the river. And it's also the kind of use that is watched as far as the kind of activity that goes on there. And what's important about this applicant is they only want to have construction and demolition debris. They don't want anything hazardous. They don't want any trash. So it's going to, as far as the transfer station goes, it's going to have a very limited capacity or service that they're going to allow to be used there. So I understand his concern, but I think under the totality of the circumstances, it is pretty hollow because there aren't any facts other than to justify the position he took. And we know what happened at the Planning Commission. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd make a motion to amend the flume using FLU 25000006 with staff recommendations. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? I'm sorry, Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, since I was a kid, I'm not sure how it reverted away from industrial. Maybe they didn't have industrial zonings back at that time, but this building was there in the early 60s, so with an industrial use. And through my email conversations with the owner, the potential operator of this company, this outfit, I'm satisfied that they are taking necessary precautions to protect our river. So, and as the gentleman stated, it'll only be demolition of wood type products, construction type products, no household waste, and no hazardous materials. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. That passes. Ms. Applewhite?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our next petition this evening is also a future land use map amendment. That's FLU 25-000007. This is located at 1286 Woodlawn Road. Tax ID is 0116003. It's on 4.67 acres. The existing land use map is AF, Agricultural Forestry. The proposed future land use map that they're asking for is rural residential. The existing zoning is A, agricultural, and the proposed zoning they will be asking for would be rural estate. This is located in the Bear Creek watershed. The character area is low density rural residential, and appropriate land uses is rural residential, and an appropriate zoning is rural estate. This is located in Commissioner District 1. Current owner is Robert and K. Marks, and our petitioner today is Tucker Marks. A brief history: on 8/26, the Planning Commission recommended approval for the Flume amendment to rural residential. The applicant's intent is to amend the Flume from agricultural forestry to rural residential in order to rezone to rural estates. And the intent is to subdivide out 1.4 acres and then combine it with 885 Marks Road, which would be parcel 1164E. So because the current zoning is A, agricultural, the minimum lot size is 10 acres. So it's a legal non-conforming parcel currently. If they were to make any changes, they have to bring it up to code, hence why we have to rezone it. So in conclusion, the applicant is proposing to amend the Flume to rural residential in order to rezone to AR, to subdivide out 1.40 acres of the subject site, and to combine it with 885 Marks Road for a family conveyance. And pursuant to the low-density rural residential character area's appropriate land uses, rural residential is an appropriate land use request. It is also compatible with similar land uses to the north and east of the property. This is the Flume amendment, so there are no conditions of zoning placed on a Flume, since it's a planning tool for future requests. However, should the request be approved and a petition filed for rezoning, then conditions of zoning would be applicable to the request at that time. This is our aerial view. So this is the entire parcel here. This is the 1.4 acres they're looking to subdivide out and to combine with this parcel. And you can see it's currently straight ag zoning. So they're wanting to go to this light green rural residential for the entire property. So this is the map we're looking to amend this evening. So they're going to go from AF, agricultural forestry, to this light rural residential color. So this entire thing will become rural residential, so they'll be able to subdivide it out. It is in the Bear Creek watershed, Commissioner District 1, low density rural residential character area. This is the concept plan and survey that is submitted, and you can see exactly what they're doing here. So this is what their intent is to subdivide out this 1.40 acres and then combine it with this one here. These are just street view pictures of the property. And if there are any questions for staff, if not, this too is also a public hearing, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair, at this time, we will open the segment for the public for public comments. I apologize. All those in favor of the request are invited to come address the board. There will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. If you would, sir, if you could please speak clearly into the mic, give your name and address for the record, please.
Tucker Marks, 1286 Woodlawn Road. Me and my wife own the property of 885 Marks Road. We are wanting to add this 1.4 acres that my grandmother is gifting us. And there was a question that the Planning Commission asked me about the 1.4 acres getting added. That is all wetland, so it could never be built on. I think their concern was getting the additional property and eventually subdividing that, which is no intent to ever do so. So wanted to address that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Okay, that portion of the public hearing has now closed. If there is anyone that would like to speak in opposition, your time is now. You can come forward. You've been provided also 10 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Okay, that portion is now closed.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve Flume Amendment FLU 25000007 with staff recommended conditions.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Oh, Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm very familiar with this property. I live about 2 miles from there, and I go by there every day. And indeed, as Mr. Marks stated, the property will never be subdivided for another dwelling because of the wetlands that are very obvious even on the aerial photos. So it'd be impossible to build another home on that property. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, that motion's unanimous, passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our final petition this evening is a rezoning, REZ 25-000005, located on Richard Chapels Road. Tax ID is 0008055. It's a total of 18.24 acres. The future land use map, which was recently approved, rural residential, the existing zoning currently is R2, single family residential, and the proposed zoning for tonight is agricultural residential. The character areas emerged suburban. Appropriate land uses would be the rural residential, and an appropriate zoning would be the agricultural residential. It's located in the South River watershed in Commissioner District 2. The owner and petitioner is Lonnie D. Cox, and the representative is John Brewer from W&A Engineering. So the applicant intent is to rezone the property from R2 to AR to subdivide it into 3 tracts. And this has come before the board when they did the Flume amendment. So back in March of 2024, the minor plat to subdivide it into the 3 lots was submitted. On April 22nd, 2025, the Planning Commission initially recommended denial of the Flume due to there being no representative for the petition present. There were, however, no objections at that hearing. On 5/6, the BOC tabled FLU 25 for 60 days to gather more information. And then on 7/1, the board approved the Flume FLU 25-00003 to change it to rural residential. On 8/26/2025, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning to agricultural residential. And that's why we're here today. Just a brief site plan analysis. So based on the site plan submitted April 14th to our department, staff offers the following considerations. So again, it's 18.24 acres, proposed to be subdivided into 3 tracts, and there are 5.5, 6.2, and 6.4 acres respectively. And this is the concept plan of them here to the right. There are single-family homes located to the east, south, and the west of the property, and farmland to the north. So for this configuration, 2 flag lots would be created. And since flag lots are not allowed in R2 zoning, this is the reason they are rezoning it to AR. So the applicant is seeking to rezone it to AR to accommodate the flag lots. So the plan meets or exceeds the minimum development standards of the Newton County Unified Development Ordinance. In conclusion, staff is of the opinion that the proposed rezoning to AR may be appropriate based on similar zonings and uses in the nearby area. The rezoning will be consistent with the policies and intent of the comprehensive plan. So should this rezoning be approved by the Board of Commissioners, it should be approved for AR, agricultural residential. Conditional is subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. 1, to the owner's agreement to A, submit the minor plat subdividing parcel 0008055 into 3 tracts. B, submit appropriate plans or plats to be reviewed and approved by Development Services Department, Public Works, Newton County Fire Services, the Water Authority, GSWCC, and GDOT as applicable. Obtain a variance for any flag lot with access portion greater than 300 feet. This is our aerial view. This is the parcel we're looking at. You can see it's long and narrow. Current zoning, so everything all around it almost is agricultural residential, and that is the zone they're seeking to go to, which would allow them to have the flag lots. The current flume is rural residential as was approved recently. The watershed is South River. Commissioner District 2. Emerging suburban is the Carter area. This is a survey of the parcel. These are just street views. And of course, this is the concept plan. So as you can see, you have the one parcel in front, and then these who actually have the long access portion, which we call flag lots. And that's why there's a reason they'll need to rezone. If there are any questions for staff, if not, Madam Chair, this is also a public hearing.
Okay.
We will now open the public hearing. All those in favor of the request are invited to address the board. There will be a total of 10 minutes for those speaking in favor. Please speak clearly into the mic. State your name and address for the record.
My name is John Brewer, 2071 Salem Road, Watkinsville, Georgia. I'm representing Mr. Lonnie Cox. I'm the Director of Surveying for W&A Engineering located in Athens, Georgia. As y'all could see earlier, we've been at this for quite some time. Went before the planning a couple of weeks ago. We had no problem. We've got a unanimous vote, and this is the third or fourth hearing that public hearing I've been to, and we've not had any opposition from any of the neighbors. You could tell by the map that this piece of property has 11 adjoiners as it sits right now. It's zoned R2. The owner has owned this property for over 23 years. It's not like he bought it and is trying to flip it and to make a quick buck. Like I said, this is one of the first times in my career I've ever had the opportunity to try to zone something backwards. We're going from a R2 zoning to a agricultural zoning. Didn't really ever think that we would ever have any opposition to doing a backward zoning due to the size of the lots and the road frontage restriction. But Ms. Applewhite can correct me if I'm wrong. As it sits right now in its current zoning, we could have 3 6-acre plus or minus tracts that would be 122 foot wide all the way from the front to the back. Now, as a surveyor and land planner, it just didn't make any sense to me to have these long, continuous 130 foot wide lots when we could have nice building sites on the lots. And that's where we're at, and here's where it's brought us here tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
At this time, we have 8 minutes, 9 seconds left. Mr. Brewer, if you wanted to just save your time just in case.
Okay, I would like to say one other thing. I was informed by the owner, and I understand that this condition, that one of the conditions of this is to get to receive a variance. And I assume this board approves the variances. And the owner of the property just said, well, you know, if we're not guaranteed to get the variance, then we definitely are not going to give up our R2 zoning to go to an A to turn around and be disapproved for a variance to not be able to do what we intended to do all along. So this plat, this drawing represents what we intend to do. And if anybody has any reservations against the intent of rezoning it from R to A, knowing that we wouldn't or possibly couldn't get a variance, I would like to make other considerations. Thank you.
At this time, we have 7 minutes, 20 seconds. If there is anyone else who would like to come forward in favor. Again, coming forward in favor. Okay, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. We also will provide 10 minutes for anyone who would like to come forward in opposed to the request. Again, anyone opposed? Okay, Ms. Sheena.
Do we have a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe we had a lot of conversation on this particular project back in July when it came before this board. And so because we have had a lot of conversation about it and actually approved it back in July, it also looks like the Planning Commission, of course, recommended approval as well. So with that being said, I move to approve RAZ 25-000005 with staff recommendations.
Okay, do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Long?
I'm not dwelling on the flag lot situation, but I would have liked to see this property have like a one street and make 3 estate lots instead of doing the flag lot situation. Because you could just as easily do that, make a street and have all 3 of these lots come off of a street instead of having flag lots. And I think it would be, the property would be more marketable. I think it would be better for the area. And you could still have these large tracts that are very nice and would have 3 homes on it. So that's just my 2 cents. And, you know, it's what the people want.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. So, all in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, that's 4-1. Thank you, that passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that concludes our hearings this evening.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we're on item number 15. We've progressed to public comments. This particular section of public comments is open to our citizens to address any topics that may be impacting Newton County. Again, each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. If you'd like to make any public comments, you are now allowed to come forward at this time and utilize your 3 minutes. And after your 3 minutes has concluded, the timer is on the screen. We'll ask the next speaker to come forward. Please provide your name and address for the record, please. Speak clearly into the mic.
Dave Norton, 4357 Highway 142. Just over a year ago, our Newton County Board of Commissioners initiated a moratorium till we get a new UDO in place. And then in January, we had an update presented to us on the UDO. We have not heard anything since, so I'm just curious when we will hear a new update on the progress of our UDO. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? All right, we'll move forward to the board comments. Move. No, you can come. You can come.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Sutton, and I'm known as AKA Miss Cookie. Everyone knows me as Miss Cookie. I would like to talk about, I am opposed.
Ma'am, excuse me, could you speak in the mic?
Oh, yeah, why not?
we
Okay,
can-
my
Thank
name
you.
is Carolyn Sutton. I live at 35 Gross Lake Parkway in Covington. I've been there for 23 years. They know me as Miss Cookie. I'm talking about tonight that I am opposing the construction that they want to do, a youth center in Fairview Corridor. Okay, it is not the right location. It is not safe environment. Okay, we have proof a public park was installed at the Fairview subdivision. Can we learn from that mistake that they made? Okay? I do not want our children not to be safe. I want them to be safe. All right? I have worked as an officer, and I know what it is to keep our kids safe. I worked with a basketball program where we had gang members. I know what it is to keep the kids safe. So please do not put that in our area. Please put it somewhere where it will be safe, where the kids can enjoy themselves and that they don't have to worry about looking over their shoulders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Awelda Gonzalez, aka Miss Windy. And I'm here today to talk about the same topic. 5 years ago, we came here to fight against placing that center in the middle of Fairview State. We have to have in consideration location is key for success. We are not going to put a center on the middle of a road that we are planning to use now as an alternative route when the project of Salem Road really begins. Okay, we need that area. We're not going to put our children at a risk of getting hit by a car, besides gangs and crimes. And that is not the place for a center. And I'm sure that Newton County has many other locations that they own that they can utilize. Our children should not be used as a pawn for political purpose and personal agendas. And I am so embarrassed. I've been living in Newton County for 23 years, working community, basketball program for the children in my subdivision, all kinds of activities for them to grow and to be better and to be safe. And to see what's going on in this county, it really upset me and hurt my heart. Because this center that is supposed to be in good faith, to protect our children, to keep them skilled, to enhance families, it has become such a shame. And I just had to come here today. I don't like the county. I'm not politically correct. I get nervous. I'm Latina. I sound like Ricky Ricardo. But I had to come down here because enough is enough. Let's come together as a community. Let us have citizen participation without biases and with our agendas. Let's get together with the citizens at District 3. District 3 needs something. But something positive, something that brings hope. Okay, we cannot use our children as a pawn. Let's get it together. Let's bring. I know we have many community leaders in Leader 3 and District 3 that can come forward, meet, do the research we need to do, and find the right location and the right purpose for this center. Please don't forget us. We need the center, but we need it in the right location, with the children in mind, with the families in mind. Thank you, and you have a great evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, esteemed board. Elena Sanders. House Bill 581 was about our taxes, right? Budget hearing, we had multiple. Millage rate hearing, school board, and also you had the millage rate meeting here. Millage rate vote. None of these residents that came up was at any of those tax meetings. We also had 3 town hall meetings that was held by consultants that this board paid for. None of those residents that came up were here. Majority of those residents don't even have children in Newton County to use that facility. You pay for a subject matter expert to decide where this needs to be. Now, we're talking about crime. Let's go back to that park they're talking about. Nobody said it was going to Fairview Estates. The subject matter expert said Fairview Corridor. So let's go back. Sheriff Brown came before this board and told this board what to put in Fairview Estates Park to make it safe. Ask me, has that been done? That has not been done today. So we want to talk about safety, and we didn't even follow the guidelines of the sheriff to put up the cameras on what's needed. Also, if those residents come to meetings, they will also know that Hank Johnson provided congressional dollars for walkable and bikeable trails on Fairview Road. So in that corridor, so that it could be safe. And that's the problem I have with residents who only come when it's time to create issues, when it's dealing with our youth, when they don't have youth in their homes. Talk to the parents who have children in this community, and if you want, I can bring them all here to talk to you, because they all have responded on Facebook and various polls who said this is needed in that area, as well as the subject matter expert you paid $100,000 to. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, we're going to move forward with our commissioner comments. Commissioner Edwards, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So only have one thing. I mentioned it at the last commissioners meeting, I believe. 2 years ago, we had our District 1 cleanup was in the southern part of the county. Last year, we picked up trash on 81 on the western part of my district. And tomorrow, or Saturday, we're going to do the southeastern part of the district. That's where we'll be meeting anyway. You can, the citizens can come get their supplies and go anywhere they want to go and clean in the county, as far as I'm concerned. But they're just calling it District 1 cleanup this time. So, but downtown Mansfield, they'll have trash bags and little trash grabbers, and the roll-off will be there from 3 to 9, and we'll have biscuits and coffee that morning too. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to address the issue of cameras. Sheriff did come before this board and requested cameras. This board approved those cameras. I then personally asked Sheriff Brown, where would those cameras be located? Sheriff Brown's response was, we don't want people to know where those cameras are going to be, so I'm not going to share that. So whether or not those cameras are placed in a specific place or not, this board has no idea where they're going to go, where they're going to be. Sheriff Ezell Brown will determine where they will be. If they're not in Fairview Estates, this board doesn't have the power to say where those cameras are going to be. The only thing that this board can do is approve the cameras, which we did. And I personally asked, where will the cameras be? And he said, for security purposes, he is not able to publicly state where those cameras are going to be. And so I want to put it on record that it's not this board's responsibility to decide where those security cameras are going to be. That is our sheriff. And he feels, and I agree, from a safety perspective, he does not want to publicly state where those cameras are going to go. So I just want to put that on record to let everybody know we have approved cameras for our law enforcement department. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper.
Yeah, I just basically want to let District 3 know that I am working on a few things, still working on website so I can get information out. I still need to to address some of the old area, so I can get update on them. But I just want to let them know that I am working on the website so they can be familiar with what's going on.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to I plan not saying anything. I'm just going to shut up and go home. But there's no top law enforcement officer in Newton County other than Sheriff Ezel Brown. And I'm pretty sure that when he told us that you don't want to tell the folks who are going out committing crime where your camera's going to be at, and you're not funded to put them where everywhere they need to be at. So I'm pretty sure you want to say, well, we need one on every street, but yet we only funded for maybe 2 or 3 cameras, and so you just won't tell the bad guys where they at. But I commend him because he's only brought stuff to this board and asked for funding to try to reduce crime, especially in teenagers, and yet, you know, we couldn't understand that. We didn't want to pay the little bit of money that would have protected them for the entire summer. There's going to be so many, and I just want to add this and shut up. There's going to be so many people. I think this is the reason why we hired some people over Texas office to be sure that we had enough people when people start losing their homes, that they had enough people to do it. They said there's going to be 2 more. This is the first time ever since I've been on the board 20-some years that I don't know where to go and hire people in order to put their house on tax sales or at the corner of the courthouse. And that's bad. And we are the top government in Newton County. And those same people who may be outdoors, the same one voted for us in office. So, but anyway, I just want to say that we all just need to pray more and ask God to intercede because, you know, I feel like we may be heading in the wrong direction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Long?
As far as tax sales go, it's unfortunate, and I feel bad for people that can't pay them, but however, everybody else has to pay their taxes, so we have to have a fair system. I think that they have, people been working with people trying to get their taxes paid, but if you become 3 or 4 years behind, then I don't know how you get caught up. I don't know the answer to that. I feel really bad for people too, but however, I feel bad for the people that are paying them and they see that other people are not paying them. So the law is very clear about tax sales and how those are carried out. You know, I think that the previous tax commissioner worked with people. I knew him very well. And I would come across real estate closings sometimes where people had not paid the taxes in years. And I'm thinking, how does that happen? You know, I didn't pay mine. They'd be after me probably in 10 minutes. But, you know, it is unfortunate that seniors are getting hit with these high values, which raise the taxes. So let's get back. It is the values that have increased over these years. And but there has to be a fair system. And I don't know the answer to that question because I do feel the same way you do. I don't want people taxed out of their properties. But we also have to have the burden it is taxes. And that's what we have in our country is taxes that we have to pay. So as far as Sheriff Brown, I think he's being very innovative. He's got some programs going on with cameras. And he's doing a good job of trying to get as much safety as he can out there. And we're being notified of some things that are going on that Sheriff Brown is doing. I'm sure he'll make those things public when he's ready. I don't want to speak for Sheriff Brown, but I think that he is aware that we have, in fact, I got pulled over the other day for having my cell phone in my hand. And they did give me a warning. I was really shocked, but I was trying to connect my Bluetooth, and he did see that I was actually not talking. So they are watching. They are doing a good job because it is a distraction when somebody does that. So they don't want me to have a wreck or do anything. So I do feel like that I'm seeing a lot more deputies out patrolling, and that makes me happy as a citizen to see that. So those are my 2 things today.
Thank you. We need to adjourn into an executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters. We need a motion for that.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor? Okay.
Madam Chair, we need a motion to reconvene into public session. And a motion to adjourn.